I believe that while our tactic of forcing other nations to submit to us via espionage and spies and whatnot might not be the best look, I believe it is the best in us protecting our standing amongst other groups and sending a message to them that if you do not like to comply with us, you're going to face consequences.
It would be like at least 2 to 5 exploiters in a game, and I'm talking 2 to 5. Yeah, in a single server. No matter if you hopped the servers or not, there would still be at least 2 to 5. And by that time, it was less. They were Aesthetical didn't came back. He didn't update it for like years. There would be like less than 1,000 players active, and then a lot of the servers are infected with hackers.
I'm Realms22.
I'm Rynn. Those stories and more tonight on 30 Minutes.
Among his peers, they call him Justin, but his followers, however, address him as Justinus. He's the leader and the namesake of the Loyalists of Justinus, a Roblox group with 11,000 members. The group is ordered by its council to all aim for one goal: to unify as many groups as possible under their influence, either through diplomacy or through war. 30 Minutes was able to catch a glimpse of a live rally held at the rally ground, where Justinus made his third ever speech. It was dubbed the Grand Rally, as a reference to the amount of attendees and the significance of the rally itself. After the rally, we caught up with Justinus and held one of his first ever television interviews. From our interview, he showed a more sympathetic side of him that he's never shown before. This player is getting into uniform to join his colleagues as the Grand Rally is about to start. This rally is one of the biggest ever held in the group's history, with 7 people showing up. 13 short of the expected amount, which was 20. What's the rally all about? Well, it's about the group's most recent threat, Russia. Justinus accused Russia of failing to submit to the Loyalists. After a tense exchange, this speech is what resulted from it, calling for all soldiers to stand to a fight that he says they craved for.
Efficiency and power. My soldiers, we are here today not in honor of the Imperious Federation, but in memory of the Russians' greed of power-hungry tyranny they bring amongst us. We allow the Russians to live, and they will not continue to preach their values of greed and degeneracy. They will foster the downfall of our mighty nation. Comrades, it is you who must realize this war is more than just proving a point to the Russians. It is a war ensuring the safety of our nation and the preservation of our culture. If we are all not aligned in what must be done, the Russians will win in destroying everything you devoted your time to. Comrades, arise with this nation and fight for your country. Jer, comrades, let our supreme nation live on in victory. Jer, troops, Jer.
Justinus says that he's attempted to send spies to infiltrate the Russian high ranks before. Have you committed espionage towards other groups?
Well, I've attempted it, right? So we have spies in a couple of groups actively monitoring them, and we've been trying to get regimental leaders on our kind of side. So the entire plan, basically, I'm not going to say too much because obviously, whatever I say, the enemies are going to know. But we are basically going to have our regimental leaders and our diplomats kind of gain relations with each other. And hopefully, what our plan is that they will kind of get us the help we need with the rallying and the wars and whatnot. Because if we are well connected with the groups, then it'll be more efficient for us to manage public relations with these other groups than if we were to just go and shoot towards the leader. Because if you want good public relations, the key is to be connected with the community, not necessarily making it a one way kind of tyrannical relation where the two leaders are connected, because it would help activity if you have a connection with your community and the leader instead of just a one way connection with the leader. Because it is better for their members to know you as a person instead of just being really good friends with the leader. But that's my opinion. So, and we're going to use these public relations to hopefully advance our position in the international like politics and the spectrum here. So we will use that to kind of, as I said, increase our rallying, make our group's military a little bit stronger as we have more people contributing to our events and whatnot.
So, with these foreign relations with these other groups, you're going to use that to leverage your popularity in your group. Is that what you're trying to say?
Of course. Yeah, yeah. I've figured out over the years that typically recruiting is a very hit or miss tactic because typical recruiting, you have to go into a game, right? And this will give the players the choice of joining or not joining you. And the problem with recruiting, it's a very monopolized industry in a sense that if you want to recruit effectively, you either have to choose group recruitment plaza or you have to recruit in other players' games. And the problem with recruiting in other players' games is that you could get in trouble in a sense that their leaders wouldn't want you recruiting if you say go to a British Army game to recruit. You could get banned for recruiting and taking members. If you go to GRP, otherwise known as Group Recruitment Plaza, um, basically the players you're recruiting, they're already going to be active in a ton of other groups, right? So it's a
Hmm.
slow, arduous process. It's a slow, arduous process where you're basically going to be recruiting a bunch of multi-group monkeys who are probably not going to be loyal to your group. So our tactic here is we're shooting directly to the leaders to help contribute with what we're trying to complete here, which is just building up a successful group. Because if we skip the typical recruiting process and we make connections with the communities abroad, then it would be more effective with recruiting because we don't have to spend all the time in GRP recruiting people who might potentially not be loyal. And we would just use mercenaries as our main backbone. But there has been issues relating to that.
Can you tell me what those issues are?
Oh, of course. So you have to be active with them, right? So the mercenary tactic where you just kind of skip the recruiting and you get the help of other world leaders to help you achieve your military goals is that it's not scalable. You can only do it on a small scale because sure, you can do it with one or two groups. But when you scale it up to 20, then it becomes impossible to do it without diplomats. And usually when you have other people helping you out with diplomatic work, then it kind of becomes a little bit complicated because it opens up doors for coups and whatnot because if these diplomats decide that they want to completely screw over your group because a coup happened and they're in on the coup, then it'll basically just completely ruin your whole group. And the idea of a group being successful is that the soldiers and the mercenaries are loyal to
Loyalty to
you and
him
the
is
whole
very
group. The
important,
idea is good at
especially when
everything.
his group is a
And when
self-proclaimed
you have
nationalist
diplomats
dictatorship.
working, it kind of
Justinus
loses that
himself
connection
confronted
between
the idea that
you
he
and
was a
the people, the
dictator,
mercenaries.
and argued
So
that
that would
every
be
group in
something to
Roblox
change that
was a
process as well.
dictatorship as well. This was pretty sure this was yesterday that you made a
Yes.
recruitment to the group recruitment plaza. It states that your group self-brands itself as a nationalist dictatorship. So in effect, you're calling yourself a dictator.
Yes, I would call that correct. And realistically, every group is a dictatorship. It is just how the dictator frames his group. Because the way Discord works, it's unavoidable to be a tyrant, right? Because you are not allowed to have multiple owners. It never works out because they're going to have their own ambitions, and one person is going to want more power than the other. And then you're going to have people fighting with each other, and it's just unsustainable. So every group, you could call yourself a president, a monarch, a dictator. It's all really just a dictatorship, I would say.
So you're
And
telling,
this is
so
actually
you're
not,
saying that basically all groups, no matter how democratic they seem to be, are dictatorships.
yes, because the leader can always just override it whenever he wants. And even if he might not, the option of still having the choice to override a decision is clearly a dictatorship, I would say.
But some groups, in fact, many groups, have a system of democracy. They have elections. Your group does not.
So with these elections, right? Let's say you're running for a presidential role, and you gain the vote of all your candidate or all your supporters and whatnot. You're still at the mercy of the owner because if the owner doesn't like you and he finds out that you're a little bit too much of a threat in the sense that you could probably overthrow him if you keep your popularity a little too high, then he might just kick you out because I've seen that with other groups in the past where I became a strong presidential candidate and I garnished a little too much support and they got suspicious and they kicked me out. And this could be with anybody. It just wouldn't be only with me. It could be with your average person. It could be with a very popular person who has a lot of experience running groups. It doesn't really matter. And the thing is that with these dictatorships, right? Um, it's a little bit more efficient when there's a dictatorship because you basically have the power to set one goal and you don't really have to have people agree with it. And this really weeds out the groups that are irrelevant because if a group can't present itself in an efficient manner and get the people on board with the plan, then it's basically just natural selection. You're getting the groups who can't articulate their ideals out of the mix, and this leaves the successful groups. And eventually, they might turn a little bit more democratic because realistically, a dictatorship in the long-term sense would never work because you need people to help you. So you could call yourself a dictatorship, and you might be, but you're still going to have people helping you out with day-to-day tasks, because it's impossible to run a large group without the support of others. So, yeah.
I then questioned Justinus on the inconsistencies regarding the amount of people that followed the group. The official Roblox group is listed to have 11,000 members, while the amount of people that actually joined the rallies range from about 5 people to 7. Justinus told me that his group had many instances of being botted by his enemies. He also added that the group had undergone many changes before. Most notably, the group used to be for the former Imperious Federation. I, however, failed to ask him why he continued to use the 11,000 number in advertising. Let me ask you this. Why would any self-respecting player want to join a group where they have to submit to you? Why?
Well, so there are benefits to a dictatorship, right?
Like what?
So with a so-called democracy, right, you have a bunch of conflicting ideals. So you might have a candidate who wants to go to war, for example, or you might have another candidate who would focus on doing God knows what. And the reason a dictatorship is a little bit better than that is because a dictator, he can get people on board with a singular idea. And if people don't like it, they don't have to. I mean, they could just leave.
You're not seriously suggesting, are you, that in a dictatorship anyone can leave freely?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that dictators kind of oppress people. I'm not going to oppress somebody. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can go. But the thing is that everybody is in support, right? Because I've led multiple groups in the past, and this group is a collection of everybody, all the loyal supporters and troops that I've had over the past, especially with the Imperious Federation. And I would say that even if you weren't a past soldier of mine, people share the common idea that they want to succeed in a conflict. And normally, when you have multiple people in charge, it makes it difficult to succeed in a common goal because people are divided by their own goals and greed. And when we have a singular person helping other people achieve a common goal that everybody wants to achieve, then I believe that this would be a good excuse for a dictatorship. And a dictatorship doesn't necessarily have to have the stigma where you're a corrupt, greedy guy who wants to extort the nation for your own well-being. I
Well,
wouldn't say that's how it is.
in the tendencies of history, that the majority of dictatorships, if not all of the dictatorships, have just been that.
I would tend to disagree because some nations in the past, um, they're not very common because in our society, they want us to believe that a dictatorship is bad. And normally it is bad because it gives one person all the power they want. And people, when they get this power, you tend to see their true side. And I would believe that sure, this can provide a bad idea for other people because they see the true side of a leader. But when a good person gets in power and they want to help their nation succeed, then I believe that a dictatorship would be beneficial in the short to medium term, as in the sense that they will help their nation succeed and they don't have the barriers. I'm not trying to, per se, abuse my power. I want people to realize that when they unite under one flag, they can achieve anything they want. And this is with anything. So, yeah.
Let's talk about
Mhm.
the various propaganda that has been released by your council, you and your council, on the internet.
Yes.
In your first rally, you released a video titled Grand Perfect First Parade. That was fabricated from a screenshot using ChatGPT Store AI. In your most recent video at the rally grounds, you used Sora AI. Why do you rely on these platforms to essentially fabricate your propaganda?
Oh, okay. So, the school I go to, right? I am trying to get a degree in law, and obviously, being an attorney, it takes a long time and a lot of studying, right? So I also want the group to succeed. And unfortunately, my studies preparing for midterms and everything, it's kind of restricted my time. And I'm trying to help the group in a sense that I will do anything I can to help it succeed. And with that, I've been resorting to rather degenerate means of helping us. It's really not, it's low quality, I'm going to be honest. But I've been doing what I can, and that's really what counts because the AI is a result of my constricted schedule, resorting to me having to. It's not fabricated. It's obviously AI. If I wanted to hide it, I probably could. I mean, people would still notice, so there's no reason to hide it. But it's a reason that I haven't been able to get on Roblox, but I just still want to see the group succeed. So I've been posting to see if I can garner a bit of attention to it to help our group grow. Though in the future I will be doing and editing real videos and whatnot. The AI is just a temporary solution to my constricted schedule.
Before this report went on air, the 2 AI videos that were on the Justinus YouTube channel have since been taken down.
Loyalist comrades and soldiers, it is an honor to address all of you on this fine day.
In Justinus' second speech, he made a serious threat to the well-being of those who were against him and his group. We asked him if he could identify those people. Is there anyone after you? And if so, can you name who?
Yes. So we've been working with Russia for I would say maybe a month, and Um, we had it going pretty well, I would say. We were friends with a lot of staff members and whatnot, though we sort of made a mistake in the sense that we tried to expand a little too quickly, and we started reaching into other groups, such as I believe Sweden. I'm not sure though. And the Swedish staff, they didn't really like how we were trying to influence their geopolitics, right? So they have friends in Russia, and these friends basically, they're a little bit higher ranks than myself and my affiliates. So what they've done is they've banned me, and they've made threats to my affiliates, and this is absolutely unacceptable in my opinion because we have a right to do what we like, and I believe that if people don't agree, we can still take measures to ensure that our ideas are met with force if they do not want to comply. And this might be a little bit unethical, but I believe that if you do not take measures to ensure that your policies are ensured amongst other groups, then it will be a domino chain effect in the sense that other groups will follow and you might lose your standing.
So
So,
you're
yeah.
admitting that now that what you're doing is effectively unethical.
Well, it might be unethical in a sense that you're messing with their sovereignty, but a group's objective is to succeed, right? And if we have to mess with their sovereignty to make ourselves succeed, then I'm willing to walk as far as I need and I'm willing to do whatever measures possible to keep our group active. Because in the international scale, our group is more important than any other group. And I'm willing to protect that at all costs, even if it means destroying other nations, if it means espionage, because our ideas are better than theirs because there are plenty of groups in the Napoleonic genre, but there is only one group that is dedicated to the idea of we must unite in order to achieve a common goal. And they don't have that, which makes our group more important.
A prison's revival. Prison Life, the game that for years was plagued with exploiters, has now made a resurgence in popularity after its creator Aesthetical came back to develop the Roblox game in September 2025. Before, the game was reaching a peak of 1,000 players, But now, in the past 7 days, it has reached a peak of 22,000 players. What has changed since Aesthetical's return? What is it like playing the game now in 2025? Are there still exploiters? Pretty soon after its release, Prison Life garnered a cult following among players, as well as becoming one of the first games to be played by newcomers to the platform due to its popularity. For many years though, Prison Life had a reputation for being the safe haven for exploiters, looking to test their scripts and cause trouble in a place they knew they'd be welcome in. But notice how recently servers of the game have seen a lack in exploiters, and notice how much of the map has also changed. Well, those are as a result of Aesthetical, the game's developer, having come back to the game.
Well, when it comes to addiction, it's certainly 10 times from back then. It has certainly attracted a lot of players coming back, being addicted to the game once again. I've even met some friends along the journey, and they all had the same story. They all told me they used to play this, and then ever since the hackers overtook the game, they just stopped. But now that it's back with a slightly improved moderation system, it is better now.
After Aesthetical came back to the game, have you seen any exploiter recently? And if so, how many?
Well, comparing the ratio from before Aesthetical came back and now, I would say it is about a 10 to 4, I believe.
Much of the glitches and bugs have since been patched by Aesthetical. Glitches such as crouching in the bins or crouching out of the armory have now been fixed. New guns were also added, the criminals getting a new game pass as well, the Mafia Pass.
It would be like at least 2 to 5 exploiters in a game, and I'm talking 2 to 5. In a single server. No matter if you hopped the servers or not, there would still be at least 2 to 5. And by that time, it was less. They were Aesthetical didn't came back. He didn't update it for like years. There would be like less than 1,000 players active, and then a lot of the servers are infected with hackers.
What changes have you noticed in the game since Aesthetical came back?
There is a lot, and for starters, I would say the map. And from the front page, you can't see it very much. It looks almost the same. The first changes I noticed were at first there was a additional window, at the side of the guards room. Over time, it became a door. Okay, so there's like 2 doors there now. No, three, 2 or 3. I forgot. Um, there was the slight change in the hallway between the yard and the guards room front door. There was a slight change, like a indent there. All right. Um, and the back of how do we put this? The side of the cafeteria. It has definitely changed a lot. And one of my used to be favorites, the dustbin glitch, the trash can glitch, used to be able to go in there and crawl and then escape. Now you can't.
I
That's
used
one
to
of
do that
them.
as well.
We all did. And then the side of the map where it used to be very wide, and now it is shortened, and there is like 2 truss there. There's a lot of changes. I really can't state them all here. But like that's the changes for that's how many I can state as of now, especially with the window shooting and stuff. And when it comes to guns, it was first the FAL. No, 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 no. It was first the M4A1s, Remingtons, and the M9s. They had a bit of an audio change and a bit of a model change as well. Then came the FAL and the C4 and the criminal vest. Good, great game pass, by the way. And then came the MP5.
Many inmates are breaking into the armory, but notice how none of them in this instance are exploiting. In the 3 servers 30 minutes entered, we were able to catch 1 server with exploiters. The exploiter in question can be seen here. Since October 2025, many exploiters have since been kicked out or banned from the game entirely, with others still in the game employing an exploit that lets them shoot through the floor.
At first, when Aesthetical first brought in these sets and game passes, it seemed, well, to me, it seemed fair for SWATs encountering criminals. I think it used to be unfair because the SWAT gun used to be so much powerful than AK-47s, but yet criminals could take down a SWAT as well with the AKs. But like when it comes to the foul, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio now. And then came the MP5. That was for users who couldn't afford the SWAT pack. And at first, I thought it was very fair actually, until I constantly got rage baited by like Bacon's. You constantly using the MP5 to shoot me dead. I was like, that the MP5 is that hard? Is that strong? What? And I was like, what the hell? This is unfair. But actually, if you look from a certain perspective, it's actually pretty fair. The free guns are MP5s and AKs, while the needed to purchase ones were M4A1s and the Mafia Pass. Yeah.
In this first edition of 30 Minutes, my co-presenter Rynn was unable to join me on this broadcast for reasons we can't say. Instead, she'll be joining me in the next edition. I am Rams22. We'll be back soon with another edition of 30 Minutes.